Welcome back to Good Morning Interbike. I'm joined on this segment by Bernie. He is the Senior Vice President of Global Sales and Marketing. Did I get that right or close? Global Sales for Easton Bell Sports. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Interbike.
Good morning, David. Thank you.
Good to have you here. Easton Bell Sports. Sounds like a big conglomerate. It only gives two brands. What brands are underneath the corporate umbrella?
So Easton Bell Sports is an umbrella company. So what we want to make sure is Easton Bell Sports is not a brand. It's a holding company basically that covers multiple brands that play in multiple industries. So to make it very simple, you can think of Easton Bell Sports as three pillars. One pillar is a company called Rydell, which we all know. If anybody watches football on Saturday and Sunday knows about Rydell, so that's one pillar of the company. Another pillar would be called the Easton Team Sports, which is, I think just about everyone in America has the Easton logo in their garage on a baseball bat or a hockey stick. So that's the team sports side is hockey and baseball. And then the part where I'm responsible for is called Action Sports. So Action Sports really covers the sport of bicycling, skiing and snowboarding, and motorcycle. And we have four brands under that conglomerate. So there's Giro, obviously Giro in the bike and snow sports field. There's Bell helmets, making helmets for bicycling as well as for motorcycle.
Sure. And
Blackburn accessories, and then Easton Cycling. So sort of a mix with our hockey and baseball business. But because it all started together with Easton as a company, but now we've separated them. So Easton Cycling handles all of our carbon fiber and aluminum parts for cockpit and wheels for bicycles.
And from a let's talk about a dealer first. From a dealer perspective, do you find that dealers look at it and say, "Oh, it's this huge conglomerate. It's monolithic. How do I deal with it?" Or how do dealers deal with your company and your brands? Bike dealers specifically, of course.
I think the relationship evolves. And I think what we're trying to do is really sort of change that relationship with our dealers, with the independent bicycle dealers, because I think over the past it's become some of this big monolith that people don't know what it is. I think if you asked 10 people in the halls here if they knew whether Bell and Giro were the same company or owned by the same company,
right,
I think half of them would say no, they had no idea. So they can still view Bell and Giro as separate companies. I think the same thing with Blackburn and Easton, although it's a little bit less, of the same. But I think, what we've done in the past is we've sort of, become a little bit too corporate and too much of a conglomerate. And so what we've tried to do the last year and a half, really is to change the dynamic of that relationship that we have with our IBDs. I mean, the IBDs for us are the lifeblood of the cycling industry. It's where we think this industry is going to continue to thrive. We need to make sure that our relationship with them is as strong as ever. And so we've taken a couple of steps over the last several months to do that, and to shore up that relationship. One thing is we've hired a significant number of sales management people where we didn't have before, that are really covering all of our rep force in the U.S. That handle all of the IBD relationships. And what that was meant to do really is to have a direct one-on-one relationship with most of our IBDs with someone from senior management from Easton Bell Sports or from Bell, Giro, Blackburn, and Easton, to make us easier to deal with, for us to hear their issues, to help them deal with their issues so that the rep is not the first guy to talk to. So we've added regional sales management teams in there. We've also added sales analysts on the internal side so that we have a better idea and a better way to help be business partners with our IBDs to help analyze their business, analyze our business, but provide some infrastructure and support so that they can actually increase their turns, buy the right assortments, and so we can assist them and be more. What I don't want our guys to be is sales guys. I want them to be sort of business consultants and partners in the business with each of the IBDs. So that's one thing that we've done. Another thing that we've done is we've decided that we've noticed that we are at one point we were one of the lower margin helmet providers in the industry. So we've gone to Keystone on all of our helmets. So 50% margin out of the blocks on all helmets. Started that in April. At the same time, listening to some of our concerns with our dealers is, Amazon is a big problem. it can be it's a boon and it's a problem because it is the largest retailer in the world right now. But it causes problems in the marketplace for a variety of reasons. And we made a management decision that cost us a significant amount of money to no longer sell directly to Amazon.
Interesting.
Because of the disruption that it caused in the marketplace. I think the response from the IBD population has been overwhelmingly positive. We've seen a lot of dealers who they weren't buying from us, from either of the 4 brands for a while, specifically because of this issue. We've seen a lot of them come back. That coupled with better margins, that coupled with more personal attention, has really helped us to sort of get back in the good graces, if you will, of the IBD population. We're not there as far as we want to be by any stretch of the imagination, but we're really making steps to try and get there. And that's sort of from the U.S. perspective, that's our main mission. And we call it freedom to choose. And the freedom to choose really results around several things. One is the ability it's about the retailer to be able to choose the brands they want to stock in their stores, but it's also about the consumer and giving them choice as well. I think one of the things that we have a lot of difficulty with is in the industry is allowing the consumer access to some of the good brands. And I think you have some retailers that they aren't necessarily given the ability to choose what brands they stock. And I think that's not necessarily a good thing for the industry or for the business practices for each of our the independent bicycle consumers.
Yeah. One of the things that we were talking about the brands before, and you were saying that a lot of people maybe don't realize that Bell and Giro are owned by the same corporate umbrella.
Yeah.
How do you, from an internal perspective, and then how does that translate externally, how do you keep those separate? And how do you differentiate 2 brands like that?
It's not easy, but and I think it's taken us a while to really figure that out. For a while, all of the product development and design work was done together, Bell and Giro. And I think you see this if you walk the halls and you look at all the helmet brands that are out there, and the same thing when you did this at Eurobike. There were 96 helmet brands at Eurobike this year. It's an amazing amount. And you put them all on the wall together, and of those 96 brands, 90 of them look exactly the same.
Yeah.
And so we were seeing some of that same thing. And Giro's always been on the leading edge of design and innovation. Bell has as well, in its own right. But they come from 2 different areas.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we did a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, is we decided to take the 2 brands and separate them. So separate them in terms of their management structure, not sales as we direct to consumer and to retailers, but in terms of how the product is designed, developed from the start. Okay, and looking at what was the DNA of each of those brands. Giro really came out from Jim Gentis and Santa Cruz, and really kind of looking at racing and protecting your head. Bell came from the 1950s and auto racing and motorcycle racing, and then moved into the sport of cycling. Those are 2 completely different sort of thought processes about how you come to the same thing. And you can it's very instructive to take sort of the air, spark, fuel, ignite sort of message from Bell and the Bell DNA and translate that into innovation, design, and make the product, because helmets, in a lot of cases, like price point helmets, can have some of the same features and benefits. And the consumer's going to choose based on color, design, weight, ventilation, those kinds of things. And so what it's really allowed us to do over the last couple of years is figure out who Bell is and figure out who Giro is and make sure that our DNA is infused in those 2 brands from a product perspective. Yeah. And what it's allowing us to do is do things like the Super here, for example. Launched this helmet last year into the market, but as a mountain bike helmet. But you look at the design language of this helmet, and it is so completely different from anything that Bell has done before or that Giro has done before. And so Giro's still got the classic mountain bike shape that sort of falls a little bit off of, road racing with points and everything, a little bit fuller coverage for mountain biking. But this takes a completely different aspect. And you look at the way these are colored up and the graphic treatments on them, you can almost look to some of them look like motorcycle helmets.
I was just thinking that when you said that, yeah.
And another specific example, as we launched this year, and all of our people will see it in the booth, is the Transfer 9. So we launched a new high-end carbon fiber downhill helmet that takes directly off of the Moto 9, which is one of the most popular Bell motorcycle helmets. So really taking all that DNA and then taking one step further down to a $200 downhill helmet called the Transfer 9. And you look at the differences then between Bell and Giro on a downhill helmet, slight differences in design, but then you look at all the different features and benefits that come into there, and they're quite different actually.
Yeah, now you brought another helmet as well. Tell us about that one.
So the helmet I brought, so we started out with, last year sort of from this DNA project, this was the first one that came through in the Stoker. And, this helmet sold so well for us. We forecasted a certain amount of helmets that we were going to sell, and we've already tripled that amount.
Wow!
And we're having trouble meeting demand, which is a great thing. We always love that, and the dealers have been very receptive to this. The mountain bike community has been very receptive to it as well. So one of the things that's new for this year on the Bell side is taking it down into a lower price point helmet in the Stoker. Just down under $100. You got a nice accessible price point of a helmet. It's got just as much ventilation, good coverage, particularly on the backside, nice flexible, overbrow ventilation as well that you have in here. We had this helmet out at the Dirt Demo this past couple of days, in the 105-degree heat, and had loads of people trying the helmet on, going through the pump track, the Bell pump track. Very, very successful. So we're expecting a whole lot from this helmet. Multiple colors, multiple iterations, great graphics as well. So this is going to be one of our key stories on the Bell side. We've got, with all the brands, we've got key stories.
I'm sure you do,
for every one. So
speaking of which, on the Easton side, you've brought a new carbon tubular wheel that you were telling me earlier won an award at Interbike.
Yeah. So our entire road wheel lineup, and Easton has been challenged over the last couple of years with some quality issues and some lack of real innovation. And we've sort of chucked everything and really redone the entire road wheel line. This Easton Aero 55 is the flagship wheel on the carbon side for us. I brought the tubular version. The clincher version just won the Interbike award 2 weeks ago in Germany, so we're very proud of that. But the real design innovation with this wheel really is so on the both the tubular side as well as on the clincher side is really this more of a snub nose, thicker, more blunt rim design, rim shape that is it's wider, which is kind of all the rage these days, but also tends to it's more aerodynamic in all conditions. So a lot of times you see wheels that say they're faster in the wind tunnel. It's all straight ahead.
You got to worry about those crosswinds though.
And so crosswinds are a big deal, especially if you race in the lowlands of Europe in springtime. So you've got lots of crosswind issues that you have to deal with. And so what we found is this wheel with this rim shape is more aerodynamic in all situations, from crosswind to headwind. And tailwind as well. And then also we've completely revamped the hub lineup. So front and rear hub, widened the stance of the bearings to give a little bit more support, but also made them a little bit more bulletproof and very bomb-proof. So we're extremely proud of these wheels. They'll be launching, the tubular versions will be showing up at retail somewhere around December. And the clincher version, which takes a little bit longer for us to develop, simply because of making sure the brake track is durable, will launch somewhere in the January February timeframe.
Nice.
So we're very proud of this. The entire wheel lineup, we've got a whole new set of aluminum wheels as well. Every one of our clincher wheels will be UST certified. So they're all tubeless compatible. So and really tubeless compatible. So they're certified to be that. Every single clincher wheel will have that. Will have that designation.
That's significant. So we've talked about Bell and Giro. We've talked about Easton. What's the story for Blackburn at this year's show?
So Blackburn is the key story for Blackburn for us, and I didn't bring the samples because they're too big, and you'll have to, and they're all set up on bikes and everything in the stand. But you have to take a look. It's a whole new bag language for bags that fit on our racks. As you know, Blackburn started out as a rack company,
right?
And really, so there's this whole interlock system with our bags that fits right onto the rack, but also has this locking mechanism that actually locks your bags onto the rack. One of the things that we hear from consumers all the time is, these are great, but how do I keep it from getting stolen when it's parked, outside the coffee shop, outside my tent if you're going on a long ride up and down the Pacific Coast Trail, for example, or something like that. But he's got this whole interlock system that locks it into the rack through a cabling system that is quite innovative and lightweight as well.
Nice. We'll have to check that out. Well, Bernie, it's been a pleasure talking to you about the entire lineup from Easton Bell Sports. Thanks for joining us on Good Morning Interbike. We appreciate it.
Thanks. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. Make sure you stay tuned to our YouTube channel for Interbike TV. We're going to have more content for you from right here at the 2013 edition of Interbike. Stay tuned.